Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for November 28th. November 28th is the 332nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 333rd in leap years, with 33 days remaining to the end of the year. That's a lot of threes, isn't it? Today's word is sabotage. Sabotage can be a noun or a verb. As a noun, the word sabotage originally appeared in French, where it meant the destruction of an employer's property, such as tools or materials, or the hindering of manufacturing by discontented workers. It's named after wooden shoes called sabot, and it's said that workers would toss them into the equipment, into the machinery, to disrupt their ability to work. There's some discussion as to whether this is literally how the word got its origin, from wooden shoes being thrown into machinery to disrupt production, but sabotage is often thought of as some sort of physical damage that impairs or disrupts the ability of work to be completed properly. Originally a word used to describe a practice as an alternative to striking, it didn't take long for the words to be used in other fields, such as a destructive or obstructive action carried on by a civilian or enemy agent to hinder a nation's war effort, for example, or an act or process tending to hamper or hurt, or deliberate subversion. As a verb, sabotage means to practice sabotage upon. As I mentioned already, the word sabotage comes to us from French. First known use of the word sabotage is in the early 1900s. Sabotage. The word sabotage was suggested by one of my viewers, Lisa Taylor-NF7MO. Thanks, Lisa. And if you have a word you'd like to suggest for Word of the Day, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, it was on November 28th in the year 1520 when Ferdinand Magellan reached the Pacific Ocean, after having navigated through the treacherous waters that now bear his name, the Strait of Magellan. This is the birthday of English writer and preacher best known for his allegorical work, The Pilgrim's Progress. Allegorical, that's a big word. What does that mean? Allegorical is an adjective that means in the manner of an allegory, and an allegory is a narrative or visual work in which a character, place, or event is shown in such a manner as to represent a meaning with moral or political significance. John Bunyan was an ordinary fun-loving kid in the 1600s, served a rotation in the military, got married after his military service, and he was moved by his wife's piety, and his thoughts and motivations became more puritanical. He joined a study group called the Bedford Free Church, or Bedford Meeting, which was a nonconformist religious group, and I guess they liked him because they encouraged him to preach. Unfortunately, the governmental conditions and allowance of religious tolerance changed in the 1660s. Relying on an old law, the Religion Act of 1592, in which it was an offense to attend a religious gathering other than at the parish church with more than 5 people outside their family, John Bunyan was arrested. Crazy times. I suspect all this business could have played into the concept of freedom of religion in the forming of the United States Constitution later on. A condition of release for John Bunyan was that he promised not to preach and promised to attend services at the parish church. He wasn't willing to make those promises. He stuck to his convictions and ended up spending 12 years in prison. While in prison, he wrote what would become the book The Pilgrim's Progress, which was published in 1678 and became immediately popular. John Bunyan also wrote some 60 other works, most of which were expanded sermons, and he died in 1688 at the age of 59. John Bunyan. The Kingdom of Hawaii was officially recognized by the United Kingdom and France as an independent nation on November 28, 1843. The Grand Ole Opry began broadcasting in Nashville, Tennessee as the WSM Barn Dance on November 28, 1925. This is the birthday of American songwriter and producer and founder of Motown Records, Berry Gordy, born November 28, 1929. He's written or co-written dozens of hits over the years and worked with such greats as the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Stevie Wonder, and Jackson 5, just to name a few. Bless him, he's still alive at the time I'm doing this research and turns 94 in 2023. Berry Gordy. Now, if you're curious about what else I might have talked about on November 28th, I'll be sure and add a link there for you in case you'd like to check that out. Today's song is Money, That's What I Want, written by Berry Gordy and Janie Bradford. Money, That's What I Want was first released in 1959 by an artist named Barrett Strong on the Tamlot label and was the first hit record for Berry Gordy's Motown enterprise. I know there are at least a half a dozen releases of this song by various artists over the years, including a version by the Beatles in the mid-60s and a version by an experimental new wave band called the Flying Lizards in the late 1970s. I'll include links to some of those versions for you in case you'd like to check them out, contrast and compare. Same words, different feel. Money, That's What I Want, written by Berry Gordy and Janie Bradford. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That playlist lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. This is the birthday.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I wasn't talking to you. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for... Oh, where's your microphone? How about that? We'll have a lot to edit today. Cacophony is a sound. Oh, cacophony is a noun that... I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Alrighty, you got to read it the right way. Let's start over. It's 8 o'clock, so all of the reminders are going to be dinging. I forgot to turn those off. Okay, stop it. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.